We're joined today by Coach Chris Lachney, the head coach of the Riverside Rebels. Chris, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, you were head coach at Pope John Paul, where you were an alum as well there, and also a linebacker and defensive coordinator for Brother Martin under Jay Pittman and Mark Bonice. How did all of that prepare you for where you are right now?
I think you're always a product of your experiences and the people that have had influences on you, and you just named two of those people at Brother Martin that were a very big influence on me personally, just as a human being and also as a football coach. But you know, starting back, you know, at Pope John Paul, I had the chance to work for Andrew Bishak, who is currently an assistant athletics director at Southeastern, and then moving on to Brother Martin and working for Jay Pittman and Mark Bonice, and then coming to Riverside and working under Coach Stubbs. They've all been their own type of influence on me, and I can't tell you that this one taught me that and this one taught me this and that one. You know, it's just, you just accumulate experiences, and I would be also remiss if I limited the list of people that have influenced me to just the head coaches that I've worked for, because I've worked with a ton of great assistants and guys who have been in the same office with me and that have influenced me, you know, and kind of molded, I don't know if philosophy is the right word, but the things that I think are important. You know, obviously, you know, working for Coach Pittman at Brother Martin was a great defensive football coach and a wealth of knowledge. Coach Mark Bonice is one of the most organized, prepared people for everything that I've ever met in my life. And Coach Stubbs is a master at people, at management, at influencing people and kind of pointing them in the right direction and getting them to go there. And you know, for me to sit here and say one versus the other, this was better than that, I can't do that. I mean, it's just, it is all what it is. I think we're always just an accumulation of all of our experiences, and I've been fortunate to be around some really good people.
Right, you take bits and pieces from every experience. Some coaches you work with, some coaches you work for.
That's right.
We won't get into that differentiation along the way. But from all of those experiences and your previous experience as a head coach and an assistant and a coordinator at different size schools as well, and following a very successful coach, but you're still going to have to do things differently. That's just the nature of what we do. What can we expect from Chris Lachney? What makes Chris Lachney work?
Well, I don't know how to really answer that. I just know that I believe in order to be successful in this game and in life, you have to be a certain way. And it doesn't mean you have to always do the same things. Coach Stubbs and I talked a lot during this transition period about, you know, and he gave me some great advice and said, you know, you have to be your own person and you have to do your own thing. You can't do the things that we did just because we did them. And I appreciate him saying that. And I totally agree with him, because it's like I told back to him after he said that. I said, Coach, there would have been, you know, a lot of things that would have changed even had you stayed. So the program has to progress. And sure, my personality might dictate a process to be a little bit different than it was under Coach Stubbs, but you better believe the things that we're built upon will always remain there. You know, we may take a different approach to something, have a different policy about that. We might wear blue shorts instead of black shorts on Thursdays, but you know, the important stuff will be what it is. You know, you can believe that.
Your background is defensive coordinator. Where did you adopt your philosophy on defense?
Well, I think it's been a kind of a culmination of a lot of different places and a lot of different people. Some of them are still my closest friends that I talk to on a daily basis, and some I've never met, but they've still had a big influence on me. You know, going back to, you know, the days at Pope John Paul and what I learned there and what I kind of experienced there, kind of going into Brother Martin, and I would say that Jay Pittman had a huge X's and O's influence on me. You know, he was the first person to teach me what real defense is and what it means to play sound, fundamental defense. You know, I've studied a lot of people, you know, a lot of successful high school and college football coaches, and you know, we've tried to adopt a lot of the things, a lot of the principles that they stand behind, where, you know, we may have stolen some X's and O's from this person and some X's and O's from that person, but, you know, I can't really tell you that this is what we do on defense, because we're going to change from year to year depending on what we are, but we're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're going to play a violent brand of football. We're going to be in your face. We're going to challenge you. We're not going to make anything easy for you. And that's what we do on defense. I can't tell you that we run the 50 or the 3-4 or the 4-3. That's irrelevant to me. We're going to be those things, though. And I look forward to kind of taking that approach now in my new position and being able to kind of adopt that philosophy across the board, that we're going to be in your face and we're going to be violent, and you're going to have to deal with us. You know, we're not just going to be here, you know, to be your scout team for a night. You're going to have to deal with us, and that's the approach that we've tried to take defensively, and that's obviously the approach that's going to kind of run the whole program now.
And there's a couple of things that now, as being the head coach, you've got to put together or modify or tweak. One is schedule. We could talk about that later perhaps, right. But the other is the staff. There's a different relationship now in being a coordinator to being the head coach now. And are you going to be your own defensive coordinator? You're going to assign that to somebody else? But talk about the whole staff.
Yeah, I mean, I plan on being the defensive coordinator. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, that might be the only thing that keeps me sane. You know, it's the only thing normal that I have right now that I'm used to, and it's a routine, and it's a, you know, a lot of people have hobbies. My hobby happens to be my job. When I leave work, I go home and I do work, but it's not work to me. It's what I enjoy doing. So the X's and O's of the game, the preparation part of being a defensive coordinator, I'm selfishly going to do that because that's what I want to do. You know, and I have a lot of great assistants on our staff, and it is different. You alluded to being a different dynamic in the room. You know, I used to walk in and that's when the jokes started, and now that's when the jokes end. You know what I'm saying? I walk in, everybody gets quiet, and nobody's joking anymore. So I think I know who they're joking about now. So, you know, it's a little different, but those guys, Coach Stubbs alluded to it a little while ago, those guys are my best friends. And those guys are we all are that way. And that's, you know, I hope that never changes. But it really is important to have that kind of dynamic in the coach's office, and we certainly have it.
All of a sudden, the offensive guys have got to listen to you.
Right.
That's a real big difference right there. The dynamic is indeed different. That's Coach Chris Lachney. We thank him for being here today. The new head coach of the Riverside Academy Rebels. A challenging schedule next year. You can find his schedule when we get ready to get started next year at sportsnola.com. Thank you for being with us, Chris. And when we come back here at Cellos in Metairie, some of the great Riverside Academy players will be right back after this timeout. This is PRI.